Now, the second pillar was about the licensing. You know, we have strict conditions when we talked about the copyright restrictions. We had strict conditions, contract law overriding copyright law. But with these open access licenses, which are also one of the derivative is the Creative Commons license, which facilitates free legal and technical tools to facilitate access to digital content. The licenses there are different attribution factors. One is attribution standard is CC license, non-commercial, no derivative work, share alike, CC plus for commercial. You know, these are various attribution as parameters where you could have attribution by, where you could have provide facilitate access, you can create a derivative, you can commercialize it, make money, distribute it, and you will not be penalized for it. So, you need to follow these creative key, you need to promote these open licensing formats but abide by the attribution aspects of this. If it is non-commercial, please do not commercial it, you can use it, but you cannot commercialize. If it is no derivative, you cannot create derivatives and things like that. Now, this was the open licensing. As I said, the open licenses is you share, you remix, you redistribute, you can create derivatives and make money on this depending upon the attribution licenses that you have. Now, this is, you know, the open licensing enables people to easily change their copyright terms from the default of all rights reserved to some rights reserved, and these are flexible range of protections and freedoms for authors, artists and educators. Now, just giving a look here, Flickr has millions of images available, and if you just look at this point, it says attribution license, where you can use these images, redistribute, make money on this, and you will not be penalized for this. And there is attribution license here equal to, that means no derivative. Here it means, this means that you cannot commercialize it. You can use it, you can put it in the public domain, you can circulate it, but you cannot make money on this. Now, in 2012, when we had the amendment of our Copyright Act, the Creative Commons open licensing had got a boost in the Copyright Act of Government of India also. So, they have put this Creative Commons and the GNU public license and other open licensing models on a much strong footing in India. Now, talking about what kind of resources we have, open access resources we have, you know, which we can make use and facilitate the users. First, we talk about the directories. Now, look at the directories. There are a number of directories, directory of open access repositories, and some of these examples we will take to show our users that how to access those directories and have free resources, which are peer reviewed free resources available for you to access and use for your researches. There are number of directories, as you can see from the screenshot: a directory of open access research, registry of open access research, repository to maps and things like that. Similarly, we have e-journals, number of e-journals are there. Okay. So, you could have we will just take some examples from here also, Highwire journals, PubMed journals and things like that. We also have institutional repositories and have look at some of those institutional repositories. Okay. Now, there are number of CSR center is there, institution repository, Department of Biotechnology is there, Indian Institute of Public Administration is there. You name an institute, there are number of institutions who have created a repository of their intellectual output of the peer reviewed research material and put it in the public domain through their institutional repositories. Now, similarly, we have ebooks. There are a number of ebooks that are available. Okay. So, you could have electronic books, directory of open access books are there, National Digital Library is there, Digital Library of India is there, number of books repositories that are available where you have access to millions of books, and we will take an example of this as well. Similarly, open data repositories are there. So, you could just see at the national as well as the international level, number of repositories are there, OECD repository is there, and we will just have a look at some of these repositories. On the bottom on the right hand side of your screen, you will just see there is a URL, you can just access many more repositories and see what all open data repositories are available. E-thesis and dissertations, number of repositories, one is the Shodh Ganga is there, then there is National Digital Library of Theses and Dissertations is available, and these are the major resources of accessing the full text dissertations and theses. Now, there are other resources, one is the open access resources on education are there, number of resources are there that you can make use of. Or online patent databases are there, you can make use of. There are standard sources, national resource and for global standards are there. There are subject gateways are there, you can make use of them, they are on specific subjects. If you are looking for a specific subject, you can just click on one of these resources and get requisite material for your research endeavors. There are open educational courseware, open courseware, number of these resources are listed here. You could say video resources, search engines which are scholarly search engines which can give you a galore of information that is required for your research purposes. The aim is to show that what kind of resources are available so that a researcher can easily and effectively access the resources that are required for a given piece of research. Now, there are also some partial open access initiatives, for instance, commercial publishers like Elsevier, Royal Society Open Science, Royal Society Gold Open Access, Sage, Springer, Taylor and Francis and things like that. They are partially open because part of their resources are available for public domain, which we can also put as part of our institutional repositories, and part of it is commercial because they have the business interest as well, that has to be appreciated. Now, coming to the examples of the directory of open access journals. Here DOAJ, you will see that there are millions of records available, and just look at now what is the, you can access the journal through keywords, or you can pick up a journal from the journal list, search, get your stuff. When you have your stuff, it is available at doaj.org. Okay, you are searching something, so you are getting resources. Now it says that you have got so many articles on this subject that you are looking for. You can view the abstract or you can have the full text. Generally 65 to 70% of the DOAJ journals are with full text, remaining are up to the abstract level, and that information the user can get when you are accessing. For instance, here it says view abstract or view record, view text, that means it is available full text. Now, the abstract is here, you can just click the full text and you can get the full text of this particular article. Now, there are around 10,000 journals that are available and searchable at article level. These are from 123 countries, and there are 2,500,000 articles available at the full text search level. Similarly, there is another database which is called Oyster, which has now been procured by OCLC, and you have access to this through OCLC database as well. This is millions of records are available in the public domain. You can search. Okay, say for instance, as I gave a search on good governance, it tells me there are so many articles, and you can have the full text articles as well. Similarly, I talked about the National Digital Library of India. You can just find it at ndl.iitkgp@ac.in. So, there are thousands of resources available here. On the left hand side, you could just see the resource type, the subject domain, the featured sources, news and events, around 600,000 resources available. Similarly, you could just have there is Internet Archive. Again, millions of books are available in the public domain here. you need to register. Registration is for free. Once you have registered, you can procure a book, you can read it online, you can get it issued also. There is another important resource which many use it. This is called the Governance Knowledge Center. You will have beautiful case studies in the public domain. You have the best practices available. You have a document library. You have reviews about certain books and things like that that are available for free. Again, millions of resources available and very rich resources, and you could see some of the case studies that are one of the best case studies in given subject domain. Coming to the open data. Open data in India, we have data.gov.in. It is being promoted and created by the National Informatics Center, where you could have, you know, millions of resources, you have got thousands of catalogs, you have got more than 110 departments actually contributing data, which is after the National Data Sharing and Accessibility Policy in 2012 was launched. It became mandatory for the government departments to upload their data and make it available in the public domain. You have got, you know, there are millions of downloads to this. You have over 110 chief data officers to facilitate. They will also, you can have the APIs, you can have the infographics here. If the infographic is not available, you can ask for the API from NIC. Okay, they will give you within a stipulated period of time. Similarly, there is the World Bank Open Data Repository, and you have millions of records for various regions, for various countries on different projects that are being facilitated by the World Bank. You can have access to those galore of information. It's a very, very good mine of information that you have here. So far as at the institutional level, of course, you can go to the re3data.org, which is Registry of Research Data Repositories. You can have you know, a look and feel of what kind of data repositories are available and who has created them, how I can use these repositories, and how I can pull the data at the unit level and create new knowledge based on this. Now, ICSR data services are also there. Indian Council of Social Science Research has also created a data service which is based on the socio-economic data primarily, and the users, the researchers from all over the globe can use this data service, pull out the discrete data sets and join them together and create new knowledge. And now there is no more, you know, kind of delay in accessing the data, socio-economic data, which is readily available in the ICSR data service. Now, another important resource, open access resource, is the institutional repositories, which is basically the collection of data, peer reviewed data, which comprises the intellectual you know, output of the institution. Now, there are many institutional repositories, and I will show you some. I talked about Science Central, which has been promoted by the CSIR. There are institutional level e-print archives are there, RIPEC, research papers in economics are there. Of course, you can get a list of these, what all repositories are available through the Open Door, which is open directory of institutional repository, open access in institutional repositories. Now, just giving you an example of the Science Central. This is Science Central, which is basically promoted by the CSIR. So, all CSIR labs pool their respective research output in this Science Central, which is a you know, interoperable repository containing intellectual output of various CSIR research laboratories. Similarly, RIPEC is, as I said, in repository, in open access repository in the economics. So, people who are looking for data, quality data in the area of the economics and allied areas can go to this repository, open access repository, and have access the resources, quality resources from here. Also, in Indian institutional repository, I am giving you an example of the Indian Institute of Public Administration, where there are its repository is called DKR at IIPA, which is Digital Knowledge Repository at IIPA. It's got number of communities, and what are these communities? Basically, these are the different data sets, for instance, annual reports, faculty publications, public lectures, dissertations, rare books, reports, thematic papers, and video tutorials, working papers, and things like that. And each of this databases, each of these items are called communities. So each community will carry data on a particular aspect, particular set of research materials. For instance, annual report, or annual general body meeting, or presidential address will carry only the presidential addresses. Faculty publications will carry the faculty publications of the faculty. Public lectures with the lectures that are being arranged by the institution every year. Reports are the major reports that it has brought out, or special reports that it has commissioned to be brought out, and things like that. And I am going to give you some example of from these repository communities. The search, you can have the simple search or the advanced search here. Now, when you are accessing, say for instance, last year we had, when the demonetization came into picture, we had lecture on, special lecture, thematic lecture on demonetization in India and its impact. And you could have, you could just access the thematic with the community on the thematic papers, and just see what all thematic papers there, access the full text, download it, and you are done. You will have the full text of this particular theme paper and the observations thereof. Similarly, if you are accessing say thesis and dissertations, we have the IAPA has got a 10-month program, and each year the participant who is submitting the MPhil thesis here, dissertation here, has to submit a thesis towards the end of this, and those theses are made available through the institutional repository. For instance, the last year, the latest one, we say it is on food security aspects. This is the table of contents. You could just view chapter by chapter. There is a chapter, you can retrieve the information full text based on the chapters. You can click any one of the chapters and have the full text. Similarly, the public lectures, the visionaries, the who is who in governance and management area has delivered public lectures. So all those public lectures, this number shows how many lectures the expert has delivered. Maybe the expert has visited twice and delivered 2-3 lectures. So you could just have an access to these public lectures as well. Say there was a public lecture on public administration and public cooperation. Galbraith, he is one of the leading experts in the administration, public administration. So he has delivered the lecture. So this is available full text to the users. Now, thesis and dissertation, as I said, Shodh Ganga is one of the best resources to tap for the Indian dissertation and thesis submitted to various universities. You will have full text. You can just access www. This Shodh Ganga, you go to Shodh Ganga, which is being promoted and created by the InflipNet Center. You can also have go to NDLTD, which is ndltd.org. It has also millions of dissertations available here. I am just showing you a snapshot of the Shodh Ganga digital the thesis ETD repository. You could access here, you could access it for free. So you could search the repository based on the keywords, and it will give the records, and then you can click, go to the appropriate dissertation that you are looking for. This is NDLTD thesis and dissertations. We also have other resources, at IAPA we have also done, you could have OA compliant harvesting services also, where you could facilitate unified search in virtual environment. For instance, we have done, there is one harvesting service which is called OKHARI, which is Open Access Harvesting Service at IAPA. What do we do is that we have identified certain open access resources which we want to harvest, which we have indexed in our harvester. We have and we want to download whatever new record has come to that, so that our users can access it. So, this is based on the public knowledge PKP harvester. We have downloaded, we have configured it for our resources. Then various libraries can also use the public knowledge harvester, PKP harvester, and create the harvesting service, index the repositories that from where they want to download the records and make it available to their users. So, this is another facility that you can create, and this is, as I said, it is a suite of information services which is based on OAI-PMH Open Access Initiative Protocol for Metadata Harvesting Protocol, and it collects metadata from various digital repositories dealing with subjects like public administration, public policy, governance, etc., and provide a single stop search engine for full text resources to the respective subjects. You could do it for your own subjects. I did it for, here it is done for the public administration. You can do it for economics, you can do for whatever subject domain you are dealing with, you or your library is dealing with. Now, you can just access these resources. Actually, it is only the metadata that gets downloaded on your server. The original document remains in the decentralized repository. Now, we have also facilitated Federated Search Engine, which is like whatever resources you have, you are facilitating, you are licensing, you are subscribing, or the open access resources that you are giving access to, and other resources, your catalogs that you have available in the electronic format or the digital format, you can index them and then facilitate single through open URL for accessing resources. You can facilitate access. So, for instance, we use the CUFS knowledge base, we use COBOT for link resolver, we use DBWiz for Federated Search Engine. And when you are making a basic search or advanced search, you can select the resources that you want to access, or you can select all resources to fetch the requisite information. This search engine, the Federated Search Engine, will facilitate access across the resources, millions of records that your library facilitates as a one-stop-shop search element. So, Federated searches facilitate you access across resources, across databases, across the materials that are available. And if you create, it's a very simple way to create the Federated Search wizard. Now, here you can access and the repositories across resources. These are the resources, say for instances, that are available in a given library. So, they have been indexed. You can select all of them, or you can select some of them from where you want your data to be retrieved or your information to be retrieved. Similarly, libraries are also facilitating crowdsourcing platforms for democratization of knowledge. And when we say crowdsourcing of information, we make use of the social networking tools for the crowdsourcing. For instance, at IIP, we created Wikipedia that gives information about the library and other resources. Okay. We have also facilitated, the term papers that our MPhil or the upper program participant create, and they are available there. So, through social media, you could kind of promote the visibility of the resources that are creating. Also, you can set conversation with your users through Facebook or through Twitter handles and things like that. That is possible by using the social networking tool. Therefore, you are actually fostering democratization of the knowledge in true sense of the term. Thank you.